Well, good morning, everybody. I am excited to welcome some experts on the topic of the next generation on the stage here with me today. I know that for this series, we've had a great time just exploring how important this is to our church, but also to your family. And we've talked to parents. It's been primarily for parents and those raising kids in their home. And we have a large group of people doing that here in Faircreek. And so we wanted to make sure that we were doing what we could to support you and encourage you. And of course, we also know that, for us, we only have students for, a very brief time. Matter of fact, somewhere between 40 and 50 hours a year do we have them. And parents have them about 3,000 in the home. And so we want to make sure we're partnering well together to make that happen. So you're in for a treat today. These guys have had a great time just preparing for some of this. And every answer you're going to hear today, it's not going to be me. It's going to be their answers. They came up with these answers themselves. They were the ones who worked on this and have thought about it. And I think you're going to really be encouraged by what you hear them say. So I think it'd be great just to hear who you are. All right, so let's go around just to introduce yourself. Tell us how old you are and what grade you're in.
Hi, my name is Caden. I'm in 7th grade and I'm 13.
Hi, my name is Claire. I'm in 5th grade and I'm 11.
Hi, my name is Luke. I'm 10 and in 4th grade.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm 18 and I just graduated from Fairborn High School.
Hi, I'm Katie. I'm 18, and I walk at graduation tonight.
Hi, my name's Allie. I'm 19, and I'm a sophomore in college.
Very good. So we thought we would try to get a good mixture of ages and representation here. So I gave them some questions earlier in the week and allowed them to come up with their responses to these. And I believe that this is what's going to be a very, very important morning for a lot of us here today, to just hear from them and what they're sharing. It's a unique world we live in now, very challenging, very difficult, and I think it's good to hear from the experts, the ones that are living it. And what can we do as a church family, but also in our own families, what can we do to support them? So welcome, guys. Glad you're here. Looking forward to this. The first question that I proposed to them was this. What does it mean to you to know that Faircreek is for you and your family? So go ahead.
What it means to me is that Faircreek wants kids of all ages and people of all ages to learn about God and have a chance to follow Him and believe in Him.
Okay, very good.
That it's for me, my family, and everybody that comes to this church. And it really does a good job on making people want to come back and giving them the feeling of wanting to learn about God.
Cool.
To know that the church is for me, I know that I have a place to go every Sunday where I can hang out at youth group or just during a regular service over in the youth room with kids my age that I can talk to.
Caden, if I can, I want to stop here and just tell us why this has been important too, because recently some things that have happened to you since you've been coming to church here. Just tell us a little bit about that.
So I went to Jumpstart with my mom, and we sat through the class, and we left. And on our way to church the next week, we sat in the car and prayed, and that's when I accepted God into my life.
That's awesome. And so, you can clap for that. Absolutely. We'll cheer that on every day. One of the great things is Jumpstart is something that parents and their kids can go together and they hear a clear presentation of the gospel, but then the materials are given so that parents can actually follow up with their kids afterwards. And that's exactly what your mom did with you, and you trusted Jesus. That's awesome, man, and we're glad. What would you guys have to say?
So knowing that Faircreek is for me and my family, it makes me feel very supported. It gives me the confidence and the courage to reach out to my friends and to invite them to youth group or to church to come with me. I've done it a few times with different friends, and they've come to church with me, and they make connections with people almost immediately. And then they ask me, and they're like, Katie, when's your next youth group? When's your next church service? Like, when can I come back? Or if they're not comfortable and I invite them and they're like, no, just hearing that I'm praying for them if they're going through a difficult time, and having that courage that our church is behind them, even if they've never met them, even if these people haven't met my friends unless I brought them here, but just knowing that you guys support them, and that just means a lot to them, and I don't know, I guess knowing that Faircreek is for me has given me the courage to reach out to my friends and pray for them and invite them to be a part of this.
That's great. Very good.
For me, I think Faircreek's given me a sense of belonging. I just think it does an amazing job at including everyone, no matter where you come from or where you've been or what you've done. I just feel super, like Katie said, loved and supported all the time growing up here. So when I had to leave Faircreek and go to school down in Florida, I really wanted to find and make those same connections that I had made here by growing up here, and I did. But it was just amazing to know that those people down there are for me, and I found, this is my church family, but I found a new church family down in Florida as well, so it was amazing.
Knowing that Faircreek is for me and my family, it honestly, I'm sure not only for me, but to all the students, it means the world to have everyone behind us. Not only just supporting us through growing our relationship with God, but I've also received support from many people in the church just in endeavors outside of the church, like school endeavors and anything I participate in that might not necessarily have to grow with or have to do with growing a relationship with God, but at the same time, them supporting me does help me do that, knowing it's more than just my family behind me, but also the whole community of the church willing to support me, of their not being forced to, but just wanting to.
That's great. That's really good word. And I ask you guys, we talked a little bit about this before, but it's been a good experience for you, some of the things that we've done. Another question that I ask you, now this one's the one that we kind of spend a little more time on, and you guys have some really great answers for. And so what does the future of Faircreek need to look like to reach your generation and your families? So who wants to be first? Go ahead.
I had this idea that Faircreek could expand and make more all over Ohio and even all over the U.S. if they could, because I know a lot of people who I've talked to this church about, and I know a lot of people who would like to go to this church, but they just don't have the time in the morning because it's so far away from where they live. So if we made more that it could be closer to other people who want to come here, then they would be able to have the time and go.
Okay, that's really great. Little vision going on there, don't you think? I love to hear that. I mean, and this was an idea you just kind of you shared yesterday of making it so that it would just touch more people, right? And why is it so important to have churches like ours? Explain that.
Because I know there's Lutheran churches, Christian churches, and things like that. And I feel like some people get judged a lot by what they follow, but I feel like this one isn't one of them. It's a lot of them almost. So then if they come here, they could connect with a lot more people because they could learn about so many different things that they wouldn't be learning about at other churches.
Okay. All right.
This church gives a lot of kids a really good feeling of wanting to serve, because kids my age can help serve, and then when they're older and can actually serve for real. But they do a really good job on giving kids a feeling of wanting to serve when they're older. So, yeah, but another thing...
You're doing good, Luke. You're doing good.
Another thing is we need to make a program where the first and second service can join together and really get to know each other. Because the first and second service kids that only go to first service don't know kids in the second service. And I had this one kid that I went to with Level Up, and he only goes to first service. So I didn't see him at all at second service, and he was a really good kid and friend. So,
yeah, you made a good friendship with him, didn't you? That's really cool. So when asking you guys these questions, it's really great to hear ideas and things like this because it brings in some fresh things that we maybe wouldn't have thought of or whatever. It's really good stuff. I really appreciate that. Anybody else?
Almost going off of what he said, which very, very impressed that they can give those answers, because when I was their age, I would never be able to do that. I would have just said, maybe talk to us. But I definitely, going off of what he said, just encourage students to take those leadership positions. Even older students, as myself, encourage them to maybe try to be small group leaders for younger students, because just that encouragement of being a leader in the church can help them step up and grow and not maybe help come out of their shell. Because if a lot of students like me definitely are kind of more, I used to be more reserved, definitely, but as I've been encouraged to lead, it helps me be able to do things like this and come up and talk when Greg asked me to. And I don't know, it just helps definitely encouraging students to take those leadership roles, because otherwise we're going to have to rely on all of the same leaders over the years, and then eventually we'll just run out. And definitely encouraging them can help them in many ways.
That's great. Good answers. Anybody else? Tell me about the future of reaching your generation. What's important about that?
I think that Faircreek does a fantastic job with the volunteering and serving not only in the church but also outside of the church to people that may not know God. And I think that with young leaders especially, we need to stress the importance of serving within the church, because they want to, like I think Sam said, but because they want to serve God and they want to serve others and people that might not know Jesus. But I think that, where was I going with that? I think that it's extremely important that they do things not only in the church, but outside of the church as well, to kind of build that, like, whether that be at school, to friends that might not know God. I think that talking about that in church and at home is super duper important, so we can all be good stewards no matter where we are.
I think it's very important to sort of stress the looking at an individual with a loving pair of eyes and heart, because I feel like the church sometimes has a stigma of being judgmental and everything, and I feel like Faircreek is doing a great job of opening their arms to the public, or people of various backgrounds, especially, with the way that the world is moving today, because we're called to love people no matter what, and we don't know their hearts, Jesus does. So our biggest job right now is to love on that person and support them with whatever they're going through. And I think that is one of the greatest ways we're going to reach our generation, especially. Yeah.
That's good. Very good answers. Anybody else?
I think the future of Faircreek is going fine right now, but one thing we could possibly change is more volunteering opportunities for kids my age, because we have knowledge to take in from stuff like that.
Sure.
I just think it would be really cool for kids my age to have more volunteering opportunities.
Okay. So you're kind of bridging into another part of the question, and let me bring that up so we can all see that. What can we do better? What do we need to keep doing? And then is there anything we should be doing more? So you guys had a really good idea on some of this.
So me and Claire actually think we should make a program for younger kids than us, because the preschoolers and first graders and kindergartners and second and third grade don't get to have the fun activities that we do. Because recently we did an escape room, but the younger kids didn't get to do it. So we need to make a program where the younger kids have the opportunity to do activities that only older kids do.
Yeah, like with the preschool thing, like I have like a brother who's in first grade, and like me and my other brother, we would go to we have like the pizza parties, and I did the escape room, and then like my brother Charlie, he just didn't have anything like he was missing out on everything. So it would be fun for the preschoolers or the first graders and kindergartners to like come together, maybe have pizza, play some games, do some fun crafts, and interact with each other, since like there are a lot of preschoolers and kindergartners that are in like second service that the first service ones don't get to interact with.
Sure. So great ideas. I mean, you hear, I mean, this is awesome, huh? And so there's one thing, though, and we talked about this, you know, it's to have new things like that or to add to it, make it available more for individuals to be able to come, like somebody younger than you, like preschoolers, which is a pretty amazing idea on your part. We need something. And I've told you guys this before, but we need help, right? We need more leaders, and really we need more people to do it. But guess what? All the people we need, they're sitting right out there, all right? And so it makes it possible for us to do those kind of things when everybody steps up to serve and to be a part of it. You mentioned serving, and that's a big part of it, how important that is. But tell me why serving is so important to your faith. I asked this question kind of before, but tell me why the opportunity to serve and finding a place to contribute, because you guys are not the church of the future, you're the church now. So tell me why that's important to you.
Like, I know tons of parents and kids who serve in the preschool room, so like they'd be like, they're like teaching other little preschoolers about God and doing worship with them. And that makes a big impact on the preschoolers, because then they look up to the kids and the adults, and they find a way. And when they get older, they're going to form a really great relationship with God.
Okay, that's good. Go ahead, Caden.
I think becoming a leader is really important, because my youth group, just like our group in my grade, we have really strong connections with the leaders that we have, and it's somebody that we can trust and talk to.
It's very good.
Because we're not serving just because we want to serve. We're serving for God, and it's really important to get that feeling of serving for God when you're younger instead of being older.
Can I have a high five on that one? That's a good one. Can you guys top that? I don't know. That's a pretty good one right there. But I know you got some things to say. So
I know serving is definitely important, because even sometimes when it's not serving right here within the church, it can still impact your faith and help you impact other people's faith, whether they have a relationship with God or they are trying to find one. I know a few years ago during the Memorial Day tornadoes, a lot of people from our church, including me and many of my friends from the youth group, we went out for, was it a week or two?
it was actually 4 weeks.
It was 4 weeks?
Yeah.
I forgot how long it was, but we went out for a long time, almost every day, and helped clean up plenty of the wreckage from all the tornadoes. I remember chopping down trees, having trees fall on me, and just a lot of things that, even though it wasn't necessarily we're sitting down and serving and talking about God, we were still doing things that made people realize that our church is actually for the community and not just about ourselves. We want to help other people, and it definitely impacted many people's faith that way, from not only people in the church but outside of.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, going off of what Sam said, helping the community, we just want to make sure that we're not looking exclusive, that we're inviting everyone, you know? And I think also with Claire and Luke talking about adding more activities for the younger kids, I think it's so important, because even if you're not talking about Jesus all the time, and if you're going outside and you're hanging out with those like-minded people, you're building that relationship with them, and that's so important, because I mean, then you can have meaningful conversations and deep conversations, and your best friends are rooted within the church. And that's special. And not a lot of people have that, you know, especially my friends at school. They don't have the same connections at their churches that we have here at Faircreek. I just think that's super important, those activities leading into becoming great friends with the people around you, so that you can grow in your faith together.
That's great.
I think that volunteering, especially with the younger generation coming along, I think that is so incredibly important because for me, I've been able to learn so much more about God through them and through their actions, through them asking me about my day, asking me about school. It's just every time I come here, especially for youth group, just the effort they put in and the amount of love that they show me, I've just been able to learn so much more about God and His character and His love and mercy, and it's just amazing to see that and to feel that, especially when you are a leader, that you can pour into other people's lives, especially students that need love and they need to be shown God's love. So,
Tell me about relationships, because that seems to be, I don't know if you've heard it, but relationships are big, and it's so important. Tell us about the value of relationships. You guys have talked about your small group leaders and maybe ones that you guys have had people with leaders in your life or whatever. Tell me about that and some of the things that you've shared before.
So the relationships that I've made here, I think are going to be lifelong friendships, and they're just, I lost the question.
It's okay. I'm talking about like small group leaders and people like that who have invested in your life. And ones like that, yeah.
Yeah, they've invested so much time into me, and I used to be like, I don't know why they're doing that. I don't feel like I'm like worth all of that attention, but it's just helped me kind of like consolidate, what am I?
I don't know.
Confirm. Confirm like my
that
foundation.
Seems kind of rando to me. No, go ahead.
It really confirmed my understanding and my sense of belonging, having just people care about you so much, and the church family here. So that means a ton to me.
Okay, good. That's great.
I definitely think that our small group leaders have real connections with us. It's not like they only care about us on Sunday nights when we're talking about, when we're opening up. Like my old small group leaders, they still text me all the time, ask me how I've been, even if they're moved away. Or we go out and get coffee together and just catch up on our lives. And my small group leaders now do the same thing, and we hang out outside of church. It's more than just a Sunday night thing.
That's good.
Going off what she said about it's not a Sunday night thing entirely, I also keep in touch with mainly one of my past small group leaders, because I've had the same one for a while now, and honestly, he's great. We still keep in touch with him as well because we go and hang out with him. But we had I had a small group leader who ended up moving away because of military purposes, and we still keep in touch and text every now and then, and he actually was just texting me about my baptism yesterday. But we had formed such a great connection with him that actually last October he invited me and my whole small group down, and we actually attended his wedding in Florida because of the relationship we built with him, and we felt the need to go and do that and be with him for that day because he felt the need to invite us as well. And just having those relationships, not only with the small group leaders, but also the friends. I mean, my small group, I've been friends with everyone in my small group for probably 6 years now, and I think those few guys are the only ones who have actually stuck around and not like kind of fallen out of my life like most friends have. And we still have that great relationship, and we still get together we try to at least multiple times a week to hang out.
That's great. You guys have anything on this?
That small group leaders aren't just there on Sundays for you. You make good connections with your small group leaders for the time that you're with them in your small group classes. And they're not just there to teach you, they're there to connect with you.
That's great.
Like I formed a lot of relationships with a lot of people that go to the church. Like I'm almost friends with like everyone like in my small group, and I feel it's important because then like when I'm like having trouble times or something, I can go like talk to them about something, or they can talk to me about something, like if they're stressed or and like we can work everything out, and we hang out, and then that like really strengthens my relationship with God, because then I know that there are people with me there.
That's great. That's good.
The same thing they all said. So, knowing that I have a leader, it's just, I think of him as like another friend. Like he's somebody that I can talk to that like won't go out and tell everybody what I told him.
Oh,
He's somebody
wow.
I can trust.
That's great. Have somebody you can trust is pretty important. Yeah. So we have to move on, and we could be here all day probably asking them questions. I could open it up to the floor, right, and let you guys ask them questions. But I think the one that I think that we really want to hear the most is, if you were going to give us as a church and parents, this series has been about parents, and grandparents and people raising kids. So tell us some advice. I mean, you probably don't get a chance to give advice like this very much, but when I say advice, I'm talking about things that would be helpful to us to be able to do better at being parents, grandparents, whatever, or better at being church people to each other. All right? What do you think?
I had some advice for parents is that, like, I know a lot of parents who have phones and they spend a lot of time, like, on social media or, like, texting, like, their friends. And I feel like sometimes parents, they need to spend more time with their kids. So, like, what my parents do is every now and then, like, they'll take one of us on a date. And so that we can have, like, father-daughter time, mother-son time, and things like that, so we can strengthen our relationship.
That's good, Claire.
Let your kids follow one path that they choose. Give them options. And I know my parents are out there in the audience right now. And they do a great job at doing that. They give me many options for what I might do later in my life or right now, and paths that I will take.
That's good, man. That's good.
I was going to add on to both of you guys. I think it's super important. I'll start with the social media, because when I think of the new generation, I think of technology. I think it's super important to be aware and be cautious of how social media can be used, and people that might not be fully trustworthy on social media. But there's also good aspects we talked about as well. I just think that it's really important to talk to your kids about that. Especially because it's really easy to get locked in, and for me, I like to spend a lot of time on it without realizing, so setting a limit is also really good. But I was going to add and say that it's really important that you make time for your kids and be present with them. No matter how much work you may have, really giving them your attention and listening to them and having conversations, asking about school and their lives is so important, especially as you get older, because I want to know that my parents are involved and actually care about what's going on in my life. So that's really helped me. My parents aren't here, but that's really helped me in knowing that they care for me and that they love me and that they're showing me God's love. And it's been amazing for me.
That's great. Go ahead, Katie.
Advice that I would have for a parent is to listen to what your kids have to say, because when I'm just trying to talk to my parents, when I know they're actually listening, it helps me open up and know that they're actually there instead of just not really listening.
Right, and you talked about feelings too. That's a big part, being able to share your feelings with your parents and everything, because, I mean, let's face it, this is a rough time to be living. And for them especially, so much is so up in the air, and it just constantly changing and shifting and everything. And I'll just be honest, you guys seem to be navigating that quite well. Better than some adults I know. So I would say, that's the important part. You want to say anything more about that, Caden? About just listening to feelings? Go ahead.
Listening, when I know somebody's listening about how I actually feel, I feel better and more safe to talk to them about more of my feelings and actually truly open up to the people I talk to.
That's good.
A little advice I would probably want to give to parents, and my parents thought I was criticizing them last service, but I was actually almost thanking them. I know I have some friends who definitely keep me grounded within the church and make me want to come back and grow closer with God. And we've taken full days on Sundays when a lot of families will try to encourage, let's do family things on Sunday. Let's spend time with family. I know my family has been very good about letting me go, and I'll spend full days, 10 to 12 hours with my friends on Sundays. We're at church, youth group, just hanging out in between. And we've actually spent probably full days here in the church helping prepare things for like special events at youth group. And it honestly helps me and my friends all stay close and connected, being able to have those days together. And then it makes us want, even though we've spent 12 hours with each other and we're driving each other nuts, it makes us want more and want to stay close, connected with God and each other. And just having that close relationship with everyone really helps us stay connected.
This has been fantastic. I wish I could. Go ahead, Katie. I'll give you a chance. Go ahead.
I was just going to backpack off what Kate and Allie said. Be interested in your kids' interests, even if it's so boring. Like if your kid plays soccer, learn the positions, because that is so important. And then you can come home and you can talk about your soccer game or whatever. Or if you're into music, you can listen to the same music and talk about it, because it means so much to me. If I come home from school and I start talking to my mom or my dad about people at school and like what happened during my day, and my mom is like, oh, how are they doing? Like, what's their mom up to these days? Like, they know those people that I'm talking about. I don't have to sit there and be like, yeah, remember this kid? And then I have to go 20 minutes into a tangent. Like, it's nice if you just know kind of what's going on in our lives. And I guarantee your kids will open up and talk to you more if you share those interests with them, even if you think it's so boring. Because I'm sure I have boring interests, but my mom and my dad put up with it, and they learn about it because they know it's important to me. And it's really that little thing.
That swings the door wide open to talk about faith, about that, and obviously you guys talk about faith a lot in your homes, and that's really great, because I have to wrap us up here this morning with this, and these are verses that I used when I started this series a few weeks ago. I want to read them to you again, and it just emphasizes how important it is that our relationship with God and who God is, it has to be a part of our everyday life and everyday faith. And it goes like this. It's in Deuteronomy chapter 6. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength. These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. And this is the most important part, I think. It says, impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. Such an important part of this, because a principle that we've talked about throughout the series is this. What happens at home is more important than what happens on Sunday. The amount of hours that parents or grandparents, whoever is raising those kids at home, is like 3,000 hours, waking hours, that they're not at school, they're not anywhere else, they're with you. And here at church, we only can have them, maybe 40 to 50 hours tops in a year. And so we have to partner together. We have to do everything we can to share what that everyday faith is. But what happens at home is more important than what happens on Sunday. And then one of the things that I think you guys emphasize so much, especially you guys talking about preschoolers, which they're younger than you, and you're concerned about them and everything, but there's always someone younger you can influence. And that's true for all of us. There's always someone younger than us that we can influence. And then I think this is really important, because we have an opportunity to steward this faith of the next generation. And that means we have the opportunity to impact it for the long haul. You guys, I've stated this to them, but they're not the church. They're not the church of tomorrow. They're the church today. Okay? They're leading and serving and really, quite honestly, setting the pace for a lot of us in what it means to really have faith in your life and believe Jesus and to follow Him, really follow Him. So the statement is really true. We are all stewards of the faith of the next generation. Those youngers, you're stewards of the preschoolers. Isn't that kind of cool? And you guys have opportunities to have influence in their lives. And then we have opportunities to have influence. You see, it just keeps going. It never stops. It's something vital and it's important, and we can never give up on it. And quite honestly, it's so important for us. We need people to step up and serve. If we want to do this and take things to the next level, then we've got to step up and do this. The church needs to respond. This isn't, and I'll take Luke's sermon that he preached here this morning. It's not about just serving to to be doing something. It's about showing God we love him and we want to worship him. That's a powerful statement. I think Jared made that statement too in his baptism video. It's so critical that we do it and respond. Plus, on top of that, giving is so important because it allows us the opportunity to provide the best we can. So we participate in this, but when we step up and are involved in the lives of this, I can tell you, you'll never regret pouring into the heart of a student. Ever. You will never, ever regret that. And so you might say, I just don't know. Where do I pick up from here? Last statement I'd make is this, and I've said it a few weeks in a row. I may not have done it right in the past, but I can start today to do better, you know? And I say that to all of us. We've got that opportunity right in front of us to do that.